Hi, my name is Mohammed Sharif. I will be presenting my Capstone project. My proposal was at Cybertech Corporation. I have been assigned to create a virtualized network attached storage. This will reduce the cost of the infrastructure. The virtualized NAS will have two storages, an Active Directory, and DHCP will be implemented as well. A firewall will be implemented between the router and internet. A workstation will be connected to the router using an external network to test out the access to the NAS server. The NAS server will have two virtual storages to create two RAIDs. A test will be carried out disconnecting one of the RAIDs to check if the other RAID is backing up the data. My original network network diagram proposed was to have the NAS server, and I will be using TrueNAS for the NAS server, and I'll use Windows Server 2016 for DHCP and Active Directory and DNS servers. And for the router, I will use BIOS, and it will have four network adapters. The internal of the servers will be called servers, users will be called users, guests for guests, and firewall for firewall. And the change that I brought was I will no longer have the DHCP on the Windows Server 2016, but on the BIOS router. This will make it easier to route the systems, to route all of the computers. And for firewall, I'm using pfSense, and it has two interfaces, LAN and WAN, and all of these will be set on internal. I will go ahead and start showing the configurations that I've made for the NAS server. So the NAS server, it's using two adapters, one for internal, and the other I've set it up to host-only adapter. This way I can have access to GUI and make the configurations. And okay, so on the TrueNAS server, I have HTTP set up on 192.168.56.101, and if I browse to it, as you can see, there is I've enabled 7.8 gigabytes for the memory, and there's a NAS pool 1, it's online, and there is a storage. Yeah, so the NAS server is online. The configurations that are remaining is adding the RAID, that still has to be added. And for the Active Directory, I have, since my memory is running low, I'm gonna close the NAS servers, and I'll open the Active Directory and log in. Okay, in the Active Directory, the internal network is set to static, and I'm using subnet 192.168.120, and the DNS server is set to 192.168.1.20 as well. And I have added Active Directory and DNS to this. I originally added DHCP server as well, but there was issues routing to it, so I put the DHCP on the router. Going into Active Directory, users and computers, I've added two users on the. I've created a Hamilton domain, and I've created two users on it, and the domain for the company is called cybertech.local, and the users and the guests are both added to the cybertech.local domain, and that was done after creating the DHCP, so they both have I've added them once in static and also tested out if DHCP works, and they're added to the domain. Going to the VIOS router. The VIOS router is configured with four interfaces. Into eth0 is the servers, and eth1 is the firewall, eth2 is the guest, eth3 is the users. And I can ping the networks. So opening Windows 10. Active Directory users, BIOS. Okay, opening up a command prompt. Okay, so now I will ping from Active Directory from the domain controller to the interfaces that I've set in the server, so they can ping other computers. Pinging interface 0, which is the servers. It's ping 192.168.1.40. I can ping the server and the servers successfully. Next one is the firewall, which is on 10.1, and I can ping the firewall as well. And the other one will be the guests 168.2.1, and I can ping as well. And this one is set to the old IP address of the users, the subnet 3.1. This subnet, I've changed it to 10.1, so they're both on, so the firewall and the users can communicate, and I can change the I can put the firewall rules for it. I didn't have time to make the changes here, but they have been made on the firewall. Okay, now I will test the connections from the guest laptop to the servers, the users, and the firewall. And this one is set to static. Testing it on static first. The IP is 192.168.2.10 with a gateway of 2.1, and the DNS is 192.168.120. And on command prompt, testing out first ping the servers, which is 192.168.1.10. It's pinging successfully. Then the firewall, which is 10.1. And from the guest, I can also ping it successfully. And then testing the guest pinging itself, which is on 2.1. And also it can ping. And now I will test pinging the users on 3.1, and it can also ping it. Okay, I'm testing the user's laptop connection to the other networks, starting from pinging the servers. It's unable to ping that. And connect this pinging the firewall. It is able to ping the firewall, and pinging the guest. It's on 192.168.3.1. It's able to 3.1 is actually it's the old 2.1 was the previous subnet that I was using for users, but I've changed it to 10.1, and that changes needs to be made. So I have it on 10.51 on default gateway 10.1, so the firewall and the users can communicate with each other. But it is able to ping the guest network. Ping 192.168.2.1. Yeah, this one can ping successfully. Okay, the pfSense internal LAN IP address is 192.168.10.1, and I will use the user's laptop to go to that interface, to go to that IP address 192.168.10.1. The username is admin, password is pfSense. I can access the interface. So the interface of the pfSense firewall, I can access it, and I have set up. I need to set up some rules, so the user laptop cannot access some social media, and that is done on the LAN network, and that needs to be done. But the rules are set on the LAN network, and I click add, and choose the source would be the IP address of the user's laptop, and the destination would be the social media site that I want to block, and then I click on save, and that social media is blocked. And if I want to block more social medias, then this process gets repeated. Yeah, so that's my progress in my Capstone. Most of the networks can ping each other. The firewall rules, I know how to do it, and I need the time to do it for it to be implemented. And the network attach permissions and quotas are left, but for the most part, the networks, they can ping each other and the communication is there. And that's it for my project. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.